Okay, so to get started, we will going to start by going under Game Object, and in Game Object you have User Interface. In that user interface you have what you call panel, you have button, toggle, slider, scroll bar, drop down, input field. So you have a lot of these items. If you want to just put out a label on the screen, you use text. For image, you use image. For button, you use button. Anything that is check, uncheck, that's toggle. Slider, if you want to have a sliding bar, not scroll bar. It's more like a volume controls that you have. Scroll bar allows you to scroll top down, left, right. Drop down box. And you have an input field, which is text field. Now, panel is a smaller window within an existing window which cannot exist on its own. In short, in programming, we call it a pane. So if you click on panel, it actually puts a panel on your canvas. The numbers that we used are following, and in my game view, if I go back to my game view, I can see the area. So the numbers that I used for the camera are, for X, 483.9, for Y, 161, and for Z, negative 993.4. So I use the following numbers for X, Y, and Z under, so if you click camera, under transform, under position, this is for X, and that's for Y, and that's for Z. And then after that, I click on the play button, and in the play button I can see my panel and the new text on the panel. The new text is the default text on the panel. So if you click on the text, it actually has a text property down below. You can change it in the inspector to whatever text you want. And then if you scroll down, it gives you the font. Right now we only have one font available, but if you want to have more fonts, you can bring them in the assets, and then you can drag those fonts, like read those fonts from the assets. You can change the font style. You can change the font size, and you can change the alignment and some of the other properties. If you wish, you can actually let me stop the game view, sorry. And game view is basically where you can, I should have stopped the game view when I've done that. So game login. And then if you scroll down further, you can actually get to choose its color. If you click on the bar, it lets you choose the color from the range. Whichever color you like, you can click on it, and that becomes the color of the text. And that is the color of the text right now. So if you wish, you can actually move the text wherever you like, and in order to do that, you can use from underneath the edit menu, there is an option which looks like a four-sided arrow. If you click on that right next to the hand, that would allow you to freely displace the item on the panel. So now if you run it, you can see the game login right on the panel. So what we're going to do next is we will going to grab from the game object user interface a button, and it will actually put the button right on the panel. The text of the button can be controlled the same way. The name of the button, the text of the button. So if the button is selected, it has a property called text. So every button has a sub-item called text. You can click on that, and that allows you to change the text on the button. So the text on the button right now, I'm putting login. Same way, you can change the font name, the font size, and some of the other properties. So if you go in the game view, here's your button. The button is clickable, but since it is not tied to any event, you can't really do anything about it. Okay, you guys got the button? Okay, now how do we attach a script to the button? It's the same way. You click on the button, you scroll down, there is add component. You click on add component, you scroll down under new script, and you give your script a name. We were going to call this one process button script, process button script, and we're going to click on create and add. As a result, this will be added to the asset. If I double click on it, it will going to let me open it in Visual Studio. Once it's in Visual Studio, I can certainly associate this button with certain objects behind the scene. So for example, I can create an object public button my button. So oops, this will gonna be the name of this particular button. Now by default, button object is not understood by Unity because button object actually belongs to a package which is currently not included in the list. In order for you to work with the button, you have to type or include using Unity engine .ui. So the UI package in the Unity engine allows you to work with all user interfaces, including button, text boxes, and all of them that were shown earlier to you. Now if you want this button to be loaded at the start, you can actually go under start and you can say my button, I want it to be associated with the button object. So that allows your My button to be registered at the start of the program. Now you want to add a click event to your button. In order for you to add a click event to your button, you have to literally say my button dot on click. So when somebody clicks on the button, I would like to add a listener. That means I want the button to react. And how should a button react? The button should change text. This change text is a method that we have not yet coded. We will going to code this method right below by saying void change text. And for now, we'll say debug.log button was clicked. So for now, we're only going to check to see if the button is actually getting clicked. So once we save these changes, we can go back in the Unity and play the engine and click on the button and check the console. The console will going to now report button was clicked. So it's a three-step process. You first declare the object, associate it, and then you got to work with the click event. So I'm switching over to Unity. Console. Login. As soon as I click on login, it now reports that button was clicked. Now the button has a text. Currently this text is called text. That is the name by which it is recognized. Since it is the child of the button, this is how exactly the button will going to consider it as a child. So what we're going to do is we will going to declare another component here called public text child text, or I can say button text. Inside the start method, I can say the button text is actually the get component in children. It's one of the child, and the child type is text. So this is how you associate the button text with the button, because it's a child of the button. It's declared inside the button. Having done that, now allows you to change the text. So what I would like to do is when somebody clicks on that, I want you to change the text to the text of button text. Button text. Text should change to saying logging in. So first I declare the text object. Then I say that the text object is actually a child of the current object. Then I'm using the text property to change its text to logging in on click. So when on click, it calls change text. Change text displays button was clicked in the console, and also should change the text on the button. So after this, I'll save the changes. Again, go back to Unity and play. And when I now click, notice it says button was clicked and changes the text on the button to say logging in. And the button is still clickable. Every time I click, it will gonna respond the same way. If I want to disable the button from being clicked after the first time, I can literally say button text, sorry, not button text, oops. My button dot enabled equals to false. And this will be the last thing that we're going to be doing today. And we will going to now switch back to Unity and run it in the game engine. And we will going to click the login, and now notice it says logging in, but now I cannot click on it. It's disabled.